this is my review of My Hero Academia. Okay, so this episode was amazing. So to start off, it starts off with the press conference that we saw at the end of last episode, explaining where the UA staff is coming from and what their plans are, and pointing out that that the main reason they did what they did was to prevent as many casualties as possible, which did happen. They lost Bakugo, but most of the students were just unconscious. But when confronted about Bakugo and whether or not he actually has a future or not, Aizawa actually points out that yes he does, pointing out that he's stubborn, that he fights more than anyone to become the top hero, but he's also very stubborn, and combines. There's no way that the villains are going to be able to convert him, and also Nomu acts dumb, pointing out that they don't really have much intel and they're acting on what they have. However, this winds up playing into their plan as the raid group, consisting of several pro heroes, are actually planning to use this information to confuse the villains so that they can actually go in and do a pincer attack against two different locations. One obviously being the main hideout, but the second is actually explained but through Deku's group. So Deku have tracked down the location of the other location and successfully sneak in and peek through the window with some binoculars that Kirishima just kind of has for some reason. It's never explained where he got them, but he did say that he bought them, even though they were very expensive, and brought them with him. And after looking through the window, realized that the second location they're at is actually a factory where they store and create Nomus, which is kind of disturbing when you first see it. You just see the brains poking out from their little storage tanks, and it's kind of creepy. But then as they're about to try and put Bakugo back to sleep, because they need Bakugo to be in stasis for them, because they need him, because for whatever reason Tomura Shigaraki needs him for whatever plan he's planning, pointing out how he's an important piece. Then the pincer attack actually takes place. So one group, led by All Might, goes to the main villain hideout, and with help from Kamui, Woods, Deadshot, and several other heroes, they actually managed to incapacitate all of the villains there and actually put Kirigiri out of commission, as he's unable to warp them out. And he's also unable to warp any Nomus to the location, because the second group, led by Bastionist and containing Mount Lady and a couple others, actually wind up in restraining the Nomus so that they can't actually be warped back to the hideout for backup. And it seems like the villains have actually lost, but then things go belly up very quickly. So just when the villains point out that they still have one last chance to win and still have one last ace up their sleeve, at which point all the heroes dismiss it because they're kind of done and they can't really do anything, suddenly All For One himself shows up at the Nomu factory, completely decimates the raid squad there, and then warps the Nomus from the Nomu factory using one of his many quirks that he's collected into this villain hideout, and then the Nomus begin to assault the remaining heroes there, while at the same time warping Bakugo out of the location so that they can't actually run away with him. And so in an instant, All For One demonstrates just how powerful he is by completely blowing the entire factory off the map, which is crazy, and also by completely upending their attempts to rescue Bakugo, all in one fell swoop. By himself, he managed to dismantle their entire raid operation. And yeah, also, I should mention that this is the first time we actually see All For One in person, and he looks kind of like Darth Vader. I've probably pictured him by now, but he looks a little bit like Darth Vader. He's got the big black helmet, the the dark three-piece suit, and he spends a lot of the episode floating because of probably another quirk he stole at some point. And it's also revealed that he actually did wind up stealing Ragdoll's quirk when he kidnapped her, pointing out that her quirk was just useful to him, and pointing out that he hasn't had an opportunity to steal quirks lately because he was a bit injured, because of All Might, obviously. But he steal her quirk, he does, and then he's just able to completely decimate the raid operation. And I have a feeling that it's going to be very hard to actually defeat him now, because Ragdoll's quirk enabled her to monitor up to 100 people at a time, and now All For One has it. So it's going to be very hard for them to get the drop on him now, especially since he stole that quirk himself. So it's clear that he knew what was going on from the very beginning, and knew eventually that he was going to have to get involved. And case in point, he's actually in a conference call with the League of Villains when they get attacked. So he knew right away that the incident was a thing, and then just completely dismantled their entire raid operation. And it should be noted, Deku and the others are notably very shooken up after seeing All For One in the flesh. With Deku realizing that he's not actually Tomura he has to deal with, but All For One himself. So yeah, All For One makes a grand debut as his first full appearance in an episode. He's only in it for like 5 minutes, but in those 5 minutes, he manages to make one hell of a first impression. I mean, up to this point, we've only really seen him hanging out in the shadows, narrating over what he's about to do. But now he makes his full first debut, and he completely steals the show. So yeah, All For One. It's his titular episode. He makes his first debut in it, and it's crazy. So now that begs the question of how is this going to play out? If he completely decimated several villains in an instant, then what chance does anybody else have of actually beating him? It's going to be very, very interesting to see this. So, but yeah, now we get to the fun part of season 3, which is going to be the fight between All Might and All For One, because that is coming. It's spread out across 2 episodes, but it doesn't truly pick up until the episode after the next one for All, which is where the fight proper actually plays out. But it is going to be an interesting fight nonetheless, because it's basically going to be two guys with opposing ideals going at it, and both very powerful in their own right. But it should be noted that both of their bodies are failing them. But that apparently hasn't stopped All For One. So it's going to be interesting to see how this actually plays out for All Might and All For One, because it's clear that All Might is going to eventually is going to eventually exhaust himself in the fight. But it is a very climactic fight. I'm not going to spoil it, but it is probably going to be one of the most spectacular fights in the entire series, and for good reason, because it's finally closing. It's finally the final confrontation, or at least final-ish confrontation with one of the main antagonists. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, if you guys have seen this episode of My Hero Academia and are looking forward to the next couple of episodes and my review of them, then what do you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well if you want to help support the show. It's only a couple bucks a month, and it really helps me out, so I would definitely appreciate if you did that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!